And off we go. It's Tuesday. It's 12:30 in a hot and sunny London. Well, it was a very wet London yesterday. We had an absolute deluge. I think we had hail as well. So that was interesting. Welcome. I'm Christopher Ross. I'm the founder of Convoy Community. And before we start, for the benefit of anyone watching or listening for the very first time, here's a very brief summary of Convoy. Job searching and starting new businesses are lonely, isolating experiences, and the Convoy community makes these better. By adding structure and accountability, you get done what you need to get done, protect your mental well-being, and pick up some new experiences, friends, and perhaps a few stories along the way. Convoys are groups of people on similar journeys, each with their own destination. The Job Seekers Convoy or Journey is for those hunting for their next role. Rock Your Role was for anyone starting or getting embedded in a new role or being promoted, and the Entrepreneur's Journey for those germinating and early stage incubating new business ideas. Convoy rolled out in July 2020 and since then has helped over 570 people on their career journeys. And during the pandemic, 55% of our job seekers found their new roles in just 2 to 3 months, which at that time was amazing. I mean, it was a fantastic achievement and a testament to their resilience and the support that everyone gave each other. So to join the Convoy community, go to convoycommunity.com/register and we can get you all connected. And okay, yeah, so use these opportunities to network. Share your LinkedIn address in the chat if you wish. It's always good to keep growing your networks. And for today's presentation, please could you drop your questions in the Zoom chat and I'll address them either as we go on or at the end. And if I seem to have missed something, I'm sure Sarah will keep me honest and you can give me a nudge. So now we've got all that done, we should get started. Today I have the unusual experience of introducing myself, which is not actually my favorite subject, though some people might disagree. I am Christopher Ross. I'm a technologist, entrepreneur, and creative. I've dedicated the last 3 years to helping people on their job hunting and entrepreneurial journeys, setting up this Convoy community in July of 2020, as I said. I'm an infrastructure and operations IT director by trade, with broad industry experience across various sectors, and I've led large teams, including at BlackBerry in its glory days, which gave me a deep interest in developing people rather than software. I'm no programmer. The only thing I can develop is a cold and the occasional bad one-liner. I'm currently a volunteer mentor for the UK government Help to Grow programme, a mentor for the University of Westminster, and have been coaching and mentoring for over 15 years. I'm also a civilian instructor for the RAF Air Cadets. Right now I'm studying for the ILM Level 7 Executive Coaching and Mentoring certification. So if you're interested in being a case study, I do need to do a handful. Do get in touch by email or LinkedIn direct message, as I might have room for 1 or 2 more. My email address is christopher@ross.uk.com, and that's for people who would like coaching or mentoring. A few sessions like that. So enough about me. This session is part 3 in the LinkedIn Power Profile series. We've got about 45 minutes to cover as much as we can, and if experience is anything to go by, I suspect we're going to need a part 4. If you have registered for this session, you'll receive a link to the recording in due course. If you haven't, please do so now. The link is in the chat, or will be as soon as I can find the chat box. Where is it? Here we go. There it is. So that's the link for registration of the session. I think everyone here is probably registered already. If you're looking for help for your profile, do get in touch to discuss a one-to-one session with me, and I'll put my details in the chat as well, just to make those easy. I'll get it right this time. Sarah kept me honest last time I got it wrong. My own profile registration link. So let's get on with powering up these profiles, and I can get rid of all the stuff on my screen and share. This screen here. So hopefully any moment now you'll be able to see that. If everything is holding together, although it looks like it's... Are you seeing anything, or have we just crashed?
Black screen at the moment.
It's coming
It's
back to
up
life.
now. Got it
All
now.
right, we have life. We have life. Excellent. So we've covered a lot of stuff already, and for anyone who hasn't seen it, the recordings will, as I say, go out. Today I want to start off by talking about the featured section. And that is a section, if you go into your profile, you'll see a section that's called featured. If you haven't got that section already listed, I think there's two ways of bringing it up. One is by going into one of your posts. We'll find a post. Thing to do, let's go to posts and activity. And if I grab the latest post, this one will do. If you've done a post, you can click on the dots and you can add it to, say, feature at the top of my profile. And if you haven't got a featured section, I think that's one of the ways you can just start having a featured section. The other way you can do it is you'll notice at the top of your profile, there is a button that says Add Profile Section. And if you click on that and look in the list, Add Featured is one of those options. Obviously, I've already got one, so it's kind of hard to show you what that's like as an individual experience. Oh, hi, Saul. So once you've got that section in there and you've started adding things to it, you can always edit. You can edit that section. You can take stuff out. You can rearrange them and decide what you want to prioritize. What's your, what's the most relevant item to feature for you at the current time. So I've just added this thing about podcasts. Podcasts are good for the brain, releases dopamine. Io and myself started a podcast just before Christmas, and so we've been having great fun doing that. We're about to start season 3, so yeah, why not feature that? And this little button you see here is one that allows you to rearrange the order. You will see from when you're looking in your profile that depending on your screen dimensions, you will usually see three posts there, or three items before you have to start scrolling across, or that sort of thing. Obviously, on a mobile, you'll probably see them in a stack rather than in a row. So what more can we say about featured section? What it does is it showcases your expertise and your value. So you can put all kinds of things in here. You can put case studies, suitably redacted, because of course your case studies may be private to the company you worked on. So be careful about what you expose and say in terms of customer data. But you could do case studies. Companies will often post case studies on their websites anyway, so just make sure you've got agreement. Other portfolio pieces, if you are an artist, say, there might be items that you could do from your portfolio. You can do slide decks. I can imagine Robin doing slide decks from his portfolio of content. He does lots of content, so that's another way of demonstrating what you can do. So slide decks, articles, posts. You can put video. Oh no, you can't put video up there. Sorry, that's one of the things I've realised you can't. You can put other documents. All can be put up here. You can if it's posts or articles, it's an existing post or article on the platform. You can also put links in. If you're a LinkedIn creator, you can do newsletters, and you can add your newsletter as a featured item. So all of these are useful bits of content that demonstrate what you are capable of. Some people even choose to put their latest CV or resume up as a featured item. You want to probably redact certain parts of it. I mean, most of your resume is represented in your LinkedIn profile anyway, but if you've got personal information in there, like your address, which you shouldn't really put in a CV anyway, you might put your postcode in, but I would redact that for one that you post here. By redact, I mean delete. But your phone numbers and emails, people who are not happy having those public, you probably don't want to put those in there either. So one of the main things that you would put in a featured section is posts, which means, yeah, you're going to have to post if you want to be able to feature a post. It's going to be hard to do it otherwise, right? Now, LinkedIn sorts your content into various categories. 3 categories: spam, low quality, and high quality. Things that mark out a post as spam, now I'm talking more about posts than about how you feature it. We saw how you feature it. You just click on the 3 dots, the ellipsis, and just click feature at the top of my profile. But what I'm talking about now is when you're posting, these are things to think about when you're posting. The things that mark posts out as spam are things like poor grammar, multiple links, and in particular spammy hashtags like hashtag comment, hashtag like, or hashtag follow. Those are things that people might do on Facebook or Instagram, but they're not things you want to be doing on LinkedIn. So you want to make sure a post that you use on the LinkedIn platform is of good quality. Low quality, what is low quality? Basically anything that isn't high quality. So what makes a high quality post? It's easy to read. It encourages responses, perhaps with a question or a thoughtful statement. It uses 3 hashtags or less. Now, for a while it was saying the suggestion was 3 to 5, and certainly anything above 5 really started to slow down the distribution of the post. But if you use one of the major social media platform automation platforms is Hootsuite, and their research, and they do quite a lot of it, is say don't use more than 3. I have seen some posts do extremely well with no hashtags at all, but I don't quite know what the mechanism there. It could be because they're LinkedIn influencers and they have another category which distributes their content more widely. Andrew McCaskill's one. He does have great content too, and a massive following. And he's a very nice bloke. So use 3 hashtags or less. Use strong keywords, and in a moment I'm going to show you how to check hashtags for how well followed they are. And keywords. Do you remember we did in the previous session, we talked about how you can use LinkedIn's resume builder to extract the keywords that are relevant for job hunting. For example, if you're looking to be found for a particular job role, how you can do that. You can go back to session 2 to see how we did that, or contact me and we can talk about it. You can tag people in a post, but you probably want to avoid tagging too many. So only tag people who are likely to respond. If you don't get any responses on those tags, and you tag by using an @ in their name, if we look in that post that I just did, which I did just before the session to use as an example, if we look at this one, you'll see I've tagged IO, and he will hopefully at some point respond. He's not here right now. Are you? Usually joins these sessions. Not here at the moment. That's fine. And I've tagged also the Biz and Coffee podcast itself. So ideally, you want to see the responses in the first hour of the life of a post, because what LinkedIn is doing is it first of all samples a post when you post it to see what's the interaction, are people looking at it, because it'll send it to a sample of a small handful of people in your network into their feeds to see, well, are people interested? Will they respond? This is one of the reasons people often join posting pods, so that they can stimulate that early response. Which reminds me, I didn't do that with this post, so I'm going to show you this. In essence, you can grab the link and then share it with your network via other kinds of platforms. So those of you who are members of Convoy, you'll see the Convoy pod. We'll see this pop up now, and we'll see what happens to its distribution by the end of this session, which we've got a little over half an hour left. So it's had 37 impressions in 38 minutes. So 1 a minute. That's not too bad. So what else can we say about good posts? Strong keyword. Use the link. Use a link that's on platform. Now this post I didn't, and that was deliberate. If we go back and look at another post, if we look at the post that I have here for this session. Oops, I've clicked on the graphic. I want to click on the post here. Oh, that's an image. Let's find a different post and I'll show you what I mean. So LinkedIn has a tendency to prefer links in posts that are still within LinkedIn. So if you link outside of LinkedIn, or as it's known as off platform, it's likely to pay less attention. It's like to give less distribution to that post. So in this case, I did a post that was based off the company post. So that's done on the company page, but that's a link to a post that's on the platform. Let's see if there's another example just down here. That was a video that I directly uploaded. Yeah, I did a lot of this, didn't I? For one I prepared earlier. Nope, I haven't got an immediately obvious one here, but is that one? Yes, that's an example. So this is a good one. Saul did this one for me a few weeks ago. Thank you, Saul. So this is a post that links to the event that is within the LinkedIn platform. This is going to tell me the event is over, because of course it's an old event. Oh no, tell a lie. This one took us to the LinkedIn, right, to the Eventbrite post. So that was, I'm sorry, I haven't got a really good example here. Let's just try this one. So this is a post to the event, to a post that's on platform, and this link here is to an event listing, which again is on the platform within LinkedIn. So you can see it's a LinkedIn event there. So that's, hopefully it's not the best example. I'll perhaps try and do a better example and put it in the notes that we'll send out later. So on-platform links are preferred by LinkedIn, which makes a certain amount of sense. The other thing, as I said, was to get engagement in the first hour, or sometimes 1 to 2 hours, depending on how the algorithm seems to be behaving. Timing is really important when you send out a post, of course, because if you send it out in the middle of the night when everyone's asleep, that first hour is not likely to get a lot of traction. LinkedIn now has a scheduler built into it. So when you're planning your post, you can see there's a little clock thing here now. So you can actually schedule it for a particular time, even if it is in American date format. By doing that, you can optimize it for your audience. Now, your audience might be a UK audience or might be a US audience. So think about it. This is localizing for your own time zone, as you can see from the message at the top. So if your audience is in the US, you want to think about, well, when is my US audience likely to be looking at LinkedIn? There's a lot online about what times are best for what for different markets. I think it varies between different countries. I think in the UK, you're likely to pick up people during their commute to work. You're likely to pick them up in a professional sense, possibly around lunchtime when they might dip into their social media platform, in this case, LinkedIn. We're perhaps less likely to get them during the main parts of the business day because hopefully they're focused on work at that point. In the US, most people commute in cars, so it's less likely that you're going to get them on their commute, perhaps. It's just worth thinking about it. And if you're not sure, test it. Do a few posts and track them. We'll come back to the analytics later and take a look at those if we've got time. So the LinkedIn scheduler is fairly new, so people may not be aware of that it's there. But as I say, choose a time that suits your audience, and do remember time zones, and the gurus are not always right, including me. So how do you do what sort of things make a post attractive to the newsfeed algorithm. The newsfeed algorithm is that part of the LinkedIn algorithm that picks your post up and feeds it into people's news feeds. So being relevant, knowing your audience or your intended audience, the algorithm is going to test your content first, as I said. So it'll test it first in your personal first level network. So what's relevant to that audience? Schedule for optimum times, and you can promote your posts by tagging the companies that you're referring to potentially and people on LinkedIn. Don't do too many, don't tag too many people, particularly if they're not going to respond. Hashtags, as we said, are really important. So let's take a look at how you can check a hashtag. Let's say you wanted to post for, let's see, what's the subject matter? Let's say it was podcast. So what you do is type the word hashtag podcast in the LinkedIn search tool. And when you click on it, it's going to give you an indicator of how many people follow it. So 64,000 sounds reasonable. But what is our audience? Let's say our audience is entrepreneurs. Oops, spell it right. So let's pick entrepreneurship from the list and see what the following is for that. 22.5 million. So you might, if you're doing a podcast about entrepreneurship, put both of those hashtags in. But it's really important to put the highest followed hashtag first if you want to stimulate the widest distribution. If you don't care about the distribution and you just want a very narrow audience, then again, you can tune it appropriately. Use the hashtag that's most important to you first. But if you're looking for the widest possible distribution, then look for the highest relevant hashtag. If the hashtag isn't relevant, and remember, don't use more than 3, then it's probably going to knock your post back. The distribution or initial distribution is based on the first hashtag you use. So if, as some people do, I don't know what this is about here, but let's see, they've used 3 hashtags, good example there. Let's see more of this one. Entrepreneurship. Yes, it's showing us things with entrepreneurship in the set of hashtags. Oh, look, this one has it as well. Why? Because it is about entrepreneurship. If I wanted to go and look at, well, how many followers are there for Biz and Coffee? Probably not very many at this point. See if is it going to find results. Yeah, it's not going to show much in terms of a following because it's a very small following. But I did it there so that I could easily find the podcast and start giving it a hashtag to be followed at some point. We looked at podcasts and entrepreneurship. Where else can you find hashtags with a good following? We could just Google it, couldn't we? So let's search for top LinkedIn hashtags and see what we get there. Excuse me. This one looks like a good link to take a look at. It's one I've used before, and it's regularly updated. And here we can see one of the tops is hashtag India. So if I had a relevant post that was relevant to that country or that as a subject, then that would be a good hashtag to start with. Technology, obviously one of my areas, entrepreneurship, we've got there. Markets, marketing, social media, not sure I would use that one. Innovation's a good one. I think management's usually quite high up here somewhere. Job interviews, that's got a very high, so that'd be very relevant for Convoy community. Sustainability is an area I'm very interested in, but I would only use that in a post that was about sustainability. Education may be relevant. So this is a really useful link. And while I'm here, I shall drop that into the Zoom chat. So do remember to save the Zoom chat as you go. That could be a useful one to keep a hold of. So that's how to type it in. I'm going to go for England, see what we get from that. Usually better to click on it and just press enter, otherwise it'll just show you what's been followed. 1,500, not very many. So if you had a post about the UK, you might be better off with United Kingdom. Let's see what happens with that one. Is it better than 1,500? Yeah, 500,000. Again, not very many. Geographical hashtags probably have less relevance in a virtual and internet-driven world. So it's subject matter that you want to focus on. Okay, so we said promoting your post. You can promote them on other platforms, Twitter, Facebook, etc., even TikTok if you're brave. And within your profile, you can automatically have the post. No, I was in a post box there. You can select your audience for the post to go to basically anyone on LinkedIn, as we see here, anyone plus Twitter. So it will automatically do your post to the Twitter platform, just to your connections or to a private group or even a public group that you are a member of. You need to be a member of the group. So in the Convoy community, we have a private group for Convoy, and I can select it from the list and say, yep, I want it to go to that group. Or if I want it to go to everyone and Twitter, click on this. It's pretty clear and simple, isn't it? You can see it listed up here. Now, to add your Twitter handle or your Twitter account to your profile, that's part of your profile setup. And if I go to my, let's see, I think it's in, maybe we should just check this. It's in the contact details section, contact info. Yes, here we are. I've got 4 Twitter handles, 4 different Twitter accounts, and I've got it defaulted to my Convoy one. If you're not sure how to set your Twitter handle up in your account, it's, I think, under privacy. I think that's beyond the scope of today's session. So if that's something you want to do to add your Twitter account, just Google it. You'll find instructions, or get in touch and I'll give you a hand. We talked about going off platforms. How do you get around that? If you've got a post that you want to specifically send someone to a location, well, you can of course put it in the comments, but there is a challenge with being the first commenter on your own post. So LinkedIn holds back your post if you are the first person to comment or react to it. Bit sneaky that, but you can understand why they do it. So save your own reaction and comment on your own post to do after 60 minutes, after an hour, and it doesn't seem to have an impact, at least not when the research was last done. Or ask someone else to do it. Ask a friendly buddy. That's Saul, by the way, to drop the link in for you, or use your friendly posting pod to get a bit of support for it that way. Or create another account. You could use a dummy account on LinkedIn. I personally wouldn't do that because you never know, you might end up accidentally using the dummy account for something you didn't intend to. There are unfortunately a lot of not real accounts out on LinkedIn. What you could do is you could use your company page. So if you have your own business, or if you have your own other causes that you help with, and you've created a company page for it, let's have a look at a company page. Wrong place. Let's go here. Let's go for Biz and Coffee. So Biz and Coffee has a company page. So I could go and support my own post. If we go back to, let's go back to posts. It's not showing the latest post, is it? Come on. Let's refresh here. We'll see it. this is a fairly recent change to LinkedIn. It allows you to change your identity. So if I go and look at this post that I did earlier, here's the reaction section. Now, if I wanted to react to myself right now, 56 minutes, we could leave it a few minutes, but what I could also do is change my identity for the purposes of this, change it to Biz and Coffee, and then I can react to the post that way. I turned comments off this particular post. Thank you, Sarah and Saul. And who's that? Someone else who's Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for supporting that post. It's great. Of course, as I've got several different company pages I also am responsible for, it seems, I could also like it from another one. Now with comments switched on, which it isn't on that particular post, I could also add a link into there or put a comment of some other kind to help support the post. It used to be said that comments needed to be at least 6 words, and I don't know if that's still true, but that was one of the the comment carried more weight if it had more than 6 words or more, and it also had more weight if it was more than just a thumbs up. So if it was one of the other 5 now, I lament the loss of the curious curious reaction. I really like that one. Excuse me about coughing. Right. So engagement. What else do you want to see? There's a comment from Daryl. You don't have a featured section. Yeah. If you, I mentioned it a little bit earlier. If you want to add the featured section, if you go from your profile, go into your profile and click Add Profile Section. Come on, become. You'll find it under Recommended, and you can click on Add, and it should add it there. Or take a post that you've done, assuming you've done a post, and click Add to Featured, and I think it should do it that way as well. Okay, next thing to talk about, next point on posting. In the post, if you ask your audience for input and ask questions, you're more likely to get an interaction or engagement from them. That sort of stands to reason. But it needs to be relevant. I think if you just put "what do you think" on the end of a post, I don't know that really, I don't know if that's enough. Certainly not enough for me. It looks like someone's just angling for reaction there, just for reaction's sake. I think actually having a thoughtful discussion online on something like this can add value to people, and that's really what's worthwhile. Content, making original content. Now, LinkedIn does seem to check your homework to some extent. It won't necessarily block anything you've posted if you've just copied someone else's content, but original content is allegedly favored. There is in the, well, let's borrow this post again. There is a repost function. Now you can do a straightforward repost, just from wherever you're at. You know, it'll just use, and I could probably repost from. Let's see what happens if I do it there. I think that'll allow me to do a repost. So that will just do a simple repost using that account. I can go and view it, and it should say it's come from Biz and Coffee. Yes, it says Biz and Coffee reposted this. So it's a really simple way of just. Also, we'll come to this shortly about how to get into the habit or start posting. It's one way you can post. If there's a post you see that you actually resonate with, and don't bother with stuff that you don't. But if something that you do think, yeah, I go, that says something to me or about me or for me, you can repost it. Even better, post it with your own input. You know, add something to the post, add a thought, add a comment. You could add a link to a related piece of content. That will all start to also add to the interest that your profile has to the LinkedIn algorithm, because you're interacting, because you're interacting with the platform. So if you're quoting other people's work, add comment, add thought, and maybe even a note of gratitude. Oh, thanks for this. I get it, or you know the score. For a while, polls were very popular and got lots of distribution from the algorithm. But as of May last year, LinkedIn seems to have felt there were too many polls and too much of that going out, and it's now de-emphasizing polls. So maybe once in a while, but don't do too much of that because it's probably not going to get the distribution. But as with all of these things, test it, see what happens. So let's look, what's the next point here? Try new posting format. So whenever LinkedIn releases a new type of posting format, it will favor that type of content. So it can pay to be an early adopter, but keep a lookout for when that favor ends, like it is ending with polls. And does anyone remember LinkedIn Stories? That was very popular for a while. It was, like TikTok stories and Instagram stories and Facebook type, Instagram Reels and stories. They were all trying to get on the bandwagon. It really didn't fly on LinkedIn. People didn't really take it didn't go. So that one's gone. But when there is a new type of content that you can put up, you can gain a lot of ground by getting a lot of attention by engaging with it, by getting on board with it. Now, LinkedIn Analytics is useful. Now, I'm afraid I do occasionally struggle to find it. Let's go to posts and activity. Saw, do you remember where this bit is? I think you have to go from your profile, don't you? Find the analytics section.
Yeah, it should be.
It's under resources, isn't it? Is it? No, I have.
I don't remember. I'm sure it's on your homepage though.
Yeah.
Or it might be the top right for businesses.
Oh, hang on, staring us in the face.
There you
Analytics
it's right at the
top. There we are. Let's go and take a look at that, because that can be quite interesting. So you can, at the moment it's showing me today, post impressions in the last 7 days, number of followers. Please don't. We've talked about followers before. Let's not go there. Profile topics, creative tools. Now, where's the post impression? I think when you click on this, it can show you what's going on. There we go. This is the bit I want to show you. So let's, that looks like a link that I can share. So I'm going to drop that link in the chat so you can have another look at that one. That's showing 7 days. I'm going to add that to the notes as well to make sure I can share it with you all later. So you can also look at, well, what about the last year? What's happened in the last year? Oh, there's a big spike there. Oh, I remember what that one was. I think that was when Boris Johnson resigned. Yes, that was a funny post that just did rather well. So a little bit of humor sometimes can work wonders. Doesn't mean you get any customers, but it can be kind of fun. And you can do something funny, and also be doing something just really, really simple. And Saul and I experimented with these. We just did something. It was just, there's no fancy pictures. It was just a simple text, and for some reason, the LinkedIn algorithm picked it up and ran with it. Now, of course, that's another way into the analytics, is you can click on the link when you have it. It doesn't always give it to you. It got some good engagement with people, and there were a dozen comments. There seemed to be some kind of, if you can get 12 to 15 comments, that at one time particularly, I think it's still true, helped with distribution engagement. It really got the post to start moving quite strongly, and the reactions as well helped. So the LinkedIn Analytics, what is it going to tell you? It's going to give you a guide, a rough guide, albeit I wouldn't necessarily go back a year for relevance, but you probably go back 3 months or something like that is probably the recent trends are the ones that are probably going to give you the best indication of what's engaging people, what's working from your account with your audience. Audiences will differ, won't they? Right. So, and do more of what works. Keep experimenting, but do more of what works. LinkedIn doesn't like it if you post more than once a day, typically. So if you do need to post more than want to post more than once a day, maybe it's something you might do some posts from your company page. Company pages don't get quite so much traction. They're not distributed anywhere near as widely as personal posts because the platform favors it that way. But yeah, what else can we say about that? Keep it professional. Keep the content professional. If you're posting about your pets, kids, or other things like that, then make sure it's relevant. I mean, there's plenty that's relevant with kids and animals because it can demonstrate leadership, it can demonstrate courage and things like that. So keep it relevant, keep it real. You are mainly wanting to interact with other humans, although you do want some help from the algorithm. And as they say, never beg for engagement. Posts which have hashtag follow, hashtag comment, as I said earlier, they get demoted. So we talked a lot about content there. Let's checking the chat for any other questions here. I think we're up to date. That's good. Stories were never popular. Yes, they've gone now. They've actually removed them completely, I think, Robin. They've completely disappeared. I don't remember last time I saw a link for creating stories. So I think they've gone. Photo, video, job, article. Nope, stories is gone. Okay, good. So how do you start posting? So 95% of users on LinkedIn have never posted anything. But even having said that, of course, there is a lot of content out there, but your voice is worth hearing too. So, do sing your song. Someone needs to hear it. And once you decide that you are going to start posting, and if you're just not sure where to start or you're afraid to get it wrong, a nice, easy way of starting is just to comment on other people's posts. They do count. Comments do count towards your LinkedIn algorithm score, but so do your original posts, and your original posts will count much more. Do think carefully about being controversial. It's very popular to be controversial on social media, but in LinkedIn, it's a professional platform, so unless being controversial is your edge and it's something that you trade from, if you're planning on if you're job seeking, being controversial can be a negative when a recruiter picks up or a hiring manager picks up your profile, unless you're looking at a job at, I don't know, Fox News or something, or something like that in media, then it's probably not something you want to emphasize too much on a LinkedIn platform. But the right visibility can make all the difference when you are looking for your next opportunity. So posting thoughtful, intelligent recruiter as well as the algorithm. But as I say, you can start if you're looking for an easy start by commenting and reposting. Now, once you do start doing any number of comments, you might start to see an extra button that comes up which says lead the conversation, and what you can do is then turn your comment into a post, and it'll then link back to the original post, and that's quite a nice way of linking things back. It won't cause an infinite loop. It won't cause the internet to crash, and it won't cause your kids to run with scissors. It's actually quite a nice way to ease yourself into writing your own posts. Claire, I love your comment there. I can do thoughtful, but not always sure about intelligent. I would argue that your posts are highly intelligent. And by the way, everyone who's here. And when you follow each other in LinkedIn, do support each other with with people's posts. When you spot them, support them. It's a good thing to do. So once you've got a series of posts, if they're on a similar subject, you could gather them together and turn them into an article. So there are these two types of written article that you can, many types, of course, we talked about earlier, but two particular types, posts and articles in LinkedIn. So when you write an article, you have, it's just going to start this one off here just to see, does it tell us how big it is? I think it's around 10,000 characters or something. You can put a lot of content into an article, and you can make it look like a newsletter. Well, that's a separate type of article, but because people can subscribe to that. And the article post type, content type, is a long form post content type. Posts are a short form. So I think we should look up the word limits on it. I'll have them I'll add them to the handout. So what you could do is you could, having written a series of posts, gather them together and put into an article. And you can do it the other way around. You could, if you like time to think about what you want to post about, you could do, or you may have already written a longer form article, like a longer form blog post, and you could break it into individual posts if you want ways of creating more content. Robin says he's done his first article in a year, but it's doing terribly compared to posts. Yes, articles get less distribution than posts do, but if you post about your article, you could just take sections, just a few relevant paragraphs, and link them back to the article. Then that should increase, or may increase, the range of the distribution of your article. So it can be a bit of an experiment, but it's a good way of creating long form articles. What you could do, of course, with articles is if you have if you think of like articles almost like chapters of a book, you could, if you've got enough of them, eventually you'd have a book. You could publish a book. So you could go from posts to articles to a full-scale book. A few comments in the chat. Are articles similar to maintaining a blog? Yes, yes they are. I mean, I would say a LinkedIn article is very much like a longer form blog post, more than just a page. Claire, I put my blogs on as articles. Yeah, great. And then you can take your articles and make them into posts, and connect them back to the blog. Good, there's more chat going. It's analytics only available in the paid version. I think it's available to others, but it yes, may not be completely rolled out yet. That's absolutely right. We can take a look later, Sarah. Have a rummage in there and see what we can find.
It's there for my company page, but not for my personal page.
You might need to turn creator mode on for your personal page.
Okay, thank you.
Come back to that. Right, so let's see how far have we got here through my list. We're definitely going to need a part 4, aren't we? Because we've only got 8 minutes left. Other way, log articles. Right, yes, add your posts and articles to the featured section, which is where we started talking today. Click the ellipsis in your post. Let's just close that one, just to show you that one more time. Click the ellipsis, the 3 dots, and then you can add it to featured. This one's already there, so you can also remove it from featured from here. Keep your featured section fresh and relevant, I wrote here for myself to remind me. Self-generating a wealth of meaningful content, like we were saying with lots of blog posts. Maybe, Claire, this is something that might be worth thinking about. You could turn that collection of articles or blog posts into an ebook. Ebook you could self-publish on Kindle, doesn't cost you anything to do that. And you can then add that to the publications section in your profile. So if you look at your profile, that's what we're all here to be talking about, really, profile. Get rid of that note and all these messages. If we go right down to the bottom of your profile, this is another section you can add. It's an optional section. If you've published something, Could be an academic paper, it could be a report, preferably not things that are behind paywalls, although of course this is a Kindle one, so it's sort of behind a paywall because it's Kindle publishing on Amazon. But you can add your publications here, and publications are really, write books really add to your credibility as a professional. Daniel Priestley is very big on this. You can look him up on Google. Being a key person of influence is really supported by writing a book. And if you don't feel you can write it yourself, you can work with a ghost writer to write books. It's quite expensive, but it's a possibility if that's available to you. That is available to you. And there we are, credibility from publications. As they say in Texas, if you've done it, it ain't bragging. So flaunt it if you have. Let's see, we talk about posting pods. We talked a little bit about posting pod, so long as it's a positive one with good ethics and costs nothing and promotes based on your resonating with the posts being shared, then that's something that is good for everyone in the pod. Our Convoy posting pod has, I think 80, 90 people in it, maybe something like that. It's lots of friendly people, and there's no pressure. It's if you see a post and you resonate with a post, support it, even if it's just a quick reaction, preferably more than just a thumbs up. But otherwise, it's there to help and support each other. And ask for help. Doing flare posts when you're job hunting, flare posts seem to get a really good following. People tend to want to help on LinkedIn. It's not toxic environment like some other platforms. People tend to be more willing to help when you're job searching, putting a post that say, I'm looking for my next gig, my next role. You'll get people who are happy to say, yeah, that they might add something that says commenting for network reach. That's only 4 words. You might need to add a couple more words to that to help boost that post and get it spreading a bit more, or tagging a recruiter in a flare post, as it's known. These are known as flare posts. It's just a normal post. It's not a special category of post. How it's managed. Right, we've got 4 minutes left. So I was about to start going on to talk about a few other sections. I think we've got just enough time to talk about 1 or 2 more sections here. So I'm going to just touch on the education section. So let's come up to education. Here we are. The ability to learn is one of the most important things to an employer. When I was hiring, and I'd hired probably 100 people over my career as a leader or manager, I was always looking for people who looked like they had a good learning journey, because if they could learn, if they could understand how we do things around here and all that, and quickly and effectively. So I think personally, I think it's borne out in most industries. If you can show that you learn quickly and well, it's a big plus on your profile. So showcasing your learning journey is a good thing to do. Lifelong learning makes you a more interesting and desirable candidate. Do exercise caution around looking like an eternal student, though. I think that could have a negative effect with some hiring managers, unless of course you're going for an academic role, in which case it's entirely appropriate, because that's what you do in academic fields. So be intelligent about it. Now, the other thing is graduation dates. Now, people are often very, what should we say, proud of their graduations, and I am too, and the graduation dates. The problem is they can expose your age. So if you can leave it blank, you don't have to put a date on when you got a qualification. So if it was like it was for me at 1990 when I got this degree, that can sort of expose the fact that I've clearly been working I graduated 33 years ago, so probably when I was around 21, I must be at least 55. actually, I'll be 58 on Friday. Happy birthday, me. But there is a lot of ageism out there, so you do want to be a little bit careful about it. So they can be left blank. Learning goes beyond formal education. So other courses and qualifications can add to your picture and may benefit your target organization. And you see some of that in the licenses and certifications section. So these days, a lot of education is now recorded digitally. So your degree can be recorded digitally. I think it tends to include the date when you do that. But it can be useful. So you can list other qualifications there. I do know that recruiters will sometimes specifically look for certain qualifications in their search. So they might look for GDPR in a IT leader. If you are going to look for a job as a CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, they're going to look for CISSP or something of that nature. So those will help you show up higher in the rankings. So think about what other courses or qualifications could make you attractive to your target organizations. Obviously, if you have them. If you haven't, you might want to go and get a qualification for that. Project management, for example, particularly in the agile field, as that's very topical in project management these days. First aid can be a benefit. Health and safety, fire safety, all of these can also help to show you as someone who cares about others, and that's a useful attribute to demonstrate in as a potential candidate. Now we're at the top of the hour here, so I'm going to stop there and mark my script here for part 4. Part 4 starts here. Now there's a surprise. Last comments we got in the chat. Don't know where I picked this up. My school entry in education also have other versions of my name, including misspellings. That can be useful. Yeah. I don't know. I also don't know what that will do for you now. I think the algorithm tends to, if someone's doing a search, will probably search for similar or phonetically similar sounding names anyway. So that's an interesting one. It does you no harm to add them to your profile. It doesn't display them. I think it keeps them hidden. So that's learning on the job and gaining new expertise. Yes, definitely. Those won't show up as qualifications usually, but you can include things like that when you're in the narrative of your experience. So we talked about experience sections previously, but if there was something very significant that you learned when you were working in a particular organization, I think that's really, really helpful. I'm going to stop share now while we just finish up here. Regarding certificates, is LinkedIn Learning certs, do they have credibility? I think if you have a handful of relevant ones, I think they can be useful. I think there's, if you had like tens and tens and tens of them, then I think it might dilute it to some extent. So, and you can take them on and off. I would filter them. So if you did a LinkedIn course on, I don't know, Excel macros or something, useful thing to do, because if you've got LinkedIn Premium or you've got access to LinkedIn Learning, there's great course material there. So, hoover it up, use it. It's great. But if you're a mid to senior leader, then that's not perhaps really that relevant. So dry, as they say, and have your material be as relevant and as significant as possible for your own benefit. Okay, so I think it's probably a good time to do a bit of a wrap up, and then, well, OneNote restart. So I hope you found this useful and interesting. This was part 3. So if you hadn't registered for this session and you just jumped on using the link, where is the link? Where's it gone? There's the link. Do quickly register now, and I'll drop that again straight into the chat. so that you can get the recordings and the handout when it gets sent out in a week or so. There is now going to be a part 4. That isn't listed yet, but it will be soon. So watch out for that on Eventbrite, and do come along. Great to see you for that. And future parts will also go out as recordings. It's the application of knowledge that is power. You know, not just oh, that's his event ended. Okay, I can solve that. I'll need to edit these gaps out, won't I? Maybe we'll just let it go. Oh, I see, it has gone, hasn't it? Don't worry. Yes, we'll have to track that out later. Contact me. Anyone who hasn't registered for the session, send me a direct message through my LinkedIn, and we can make sure you get the link. So yes, knowledge is power, they say, but it's the application of knowledge really that's power. So think about your takeaways from today. Pick one thing that you're going to do with the information that you've picked up, and commit to yourself to doing it within the next 3 days, because that'll help to develop the habit. If you tell someone else you're going to do it, that adds accountability. We talk about accountability quite a lot in Convoy. You're more likely to do something when you've told someone that you're going to do it, and start a new journey. If you've enjoyed the session and would like to give me a recommendation, that would be most welcome. It's a great way of helping people out as well. To do that, you just go to the profile, my profile, or whoever you want to do a recommendation for, click on more, which you'll see at the top of the profile, and click on make a recommendation. It's also a nice way of getting started in writing comments and things too, or even posts. It's a place to start on LinkedIn when you're starting out with writing on the platform. So we have a little survey. If you don't mind filling that out, that would be absolutely great. It would help. Feedback's always good. Feedback really helps us. And next week we have part 4 of the Emotionally Intelligent Leadership series from Quentin Drain. I'm going to call him Quentin Brain. Quentin Drain. This part's on developing empathy. It builds on the work of Daniel Goleman, who is of course well known for his books and talks on emotional intelligence. The link. Please do follow the Convoy community and on our various platforms and links. They are also in the chat. And do save the chat before you go. If you look at the Zoom chat, there's 3 little dots at the bottom. Click on those dots and you'll see save chat, because as soon as the session is over, it will disappear. And thank you all so much for attending. I hope you've enjoyed the session. Hope you found it useful and interesting. And we'll see you next time.